Hi guys, Mike here. This week's video series is going to be all about distance runners and common patterns and compensations that I see with them. So, for example, I might see one group of runners that have a certain set of favorable mechanics that tend to not get injured, and at the same time I might have a different group of runners that have a not so favorable set of mechanics that do tend to get injured. And we know based on the research too that there are some patterns that come along with running that might set you up for an increased risk of injury. So the format of these videos is basically going to be one test that you can perform on yourself, and then depending on the result of that test, one corrective exercise that you can do to improve that result. So we're back here with our second test, and this test is more on the range of motion side of things. So when I see runners, I know that when they land on one leg, they have to rotate their upper body, which is going to be their thorax and their rib cage, to the opposite side of that leg that's landing. And then when they push off and go to the opposite leg, that they need to rotate that rib cage again, now going in the other direction. So the test that I use to measure that is just going to be in a seated position with a ball between the knees so that we know no rotations coming from the hips. And what you do from there is place a dowel across the back and then rotate all the way to one direction. What I'm looking for here, so if I were to have a line that measured completely parallel with Ryan's hips, I want the dowel to go at least in 45 degrees towards that direction, and I want it to be ideally equally on both sides. So if you have a limitation in that, check the last video that's coming, and it's going to be how you can improve thorax rotation. Now we're going to go through one of my favorite exercise variations for decreased trunk rotation. So if you had a difficult time with the previous test that I mentioned, this would be a go-to for you. So the setup for this test, Ryan's going to have his bottom hand coming across to the top knee. Top leg's going to be bent at about 90 degrees and over a foam roller. So top hand, or bottom hand on top knee, top hand's going to be on the bottom side rib cage. And then from there, Ryan, take a big exhale and almost pull your rib cage with that top hand and open up into thoracic rotation. So I know that hips aren't moving because bottom hand is on that top knee. And then I know that the rib cage is moving because he's actually pulling it. And what you should feel in this position is a stretch in the bottom side obliques. So typically I'll do maybe 2 sets of 10 breaths, and you should feel like you can go deeper and deeper into that thoracic rotation as you go through. A good way to see if this improved that mobility is to do the first test in the beginning part of this video.